Hello and welcome to NME's Weekly Albums Club. Guess who's back?
Back again.
Geordie's back.
Tell a friend.
It is Jordan Bassett, who has not been here for a while, but now he's back in the hot seat. We're all very excited to hear what thoughts he has on two hot albums that have come out today and one hot album that came out 25 years ago today.
25 years ago.
So, yes, I'm Leonie Cooper. This is Jordan Bassett.
Right.
And the first album we're going to discuss this week is Arcade Fire with...
Everything Now! Here it is, the fifth Arcade Fire album. Highly
Everything
controversial.
Now. What is it? Is it controversial, or is just the marketing campaign around it has been a little bit contro, as they say, because they've been conjuring up all these fake news stories and fake reviews, fake video games, this kind of mad web of lies around it that some people have taken against. I'm quite into it. The more people shout about how annoyed they are by it, the more I'm like, lol, it's fine.
Did you find it annoying before everyone else found it annoying?
Yeah. But then I just like to side with the underdog, the multi-million pound band Arcade Fire.
Such a contrarian, isn't she?
Let's have a look. Oh, this is...
It's fancy.
It's nice. You can make your own wobble board out of it as well, which is always handy.
I think Win would approve of that.
Of course he would.
They're like a panpipe, don't they?
They're like a hurdy-gurdy as well.
Do they?
They do.
Where's the hurdy-gurdy? Show me that hurdy-gurdy.
I'll show you the hurdy-gurdy later. I didn't bring mine into the studio. But this is nice, isn't it? So they've got...
Oh, that's very beautiful.
For all the different songs, they've got like a kind of fake logo thing, because what they're talking about on this album, it's sort of kind of OK computer vibes. They're talking about the future and technology and kind of fear for something, a bigger thing, someone taking over stuff. Well, actually, not stuff in the future, but stuff that's happening now as well.
So they've got like a Twitter account called Everything Now Co, which purportedly represents some kind of like shady corporation.
Sinister company, which actually
like a faceless corporation.
Sort of reminds me of the stuff that Shangri-La do at Glastonbury, where they kind of try and draw you to the evils of capitalism, or kind of draw your mind to the evils of capitalism by creating all these big fake companies, these big evil, sinister corporations, and that's sort of what Arcade Fire are doing or attempting to do with Everything Now Core.
Yeah.
Etc. And then, they've got all these little logos that would suggest, I don't know, different apps or such.
Yeah, okay.
Quite appy.
So modern. I have to say, I found the marketing thing a bit much. I love Arcade Fire so much. Yeah. And I found it a little bit disappointing. Like, basically, they responded to a kind of negative pre-analysis of the album. And so then this is that fake review that they ran online. Like, that's not what I want from my rock stars. Like, really? Why would they give a shit that someone's written something about them on the internet? They're too big and too cool for that.
I like that they give a shit about stuff like that, though. I quite find it, entertaining. They've decided to get stuck into the minutiae of everything that's going on, where the other band's like, hey, I'm too good for that, I don't care. They're like, actually, we care. And we're gonna, they're just doing something different. I always like it when somebody does something different.
Okay,
I also am really into Regine's pantsuit here, sorry, jumpsuit that's going on. What is great, it's very disco. And talking of disco, let's go on to the sound of the album. There is a strong ABBA vibe happening here. So the title track, it's got pan flutes, which were mentioned, but it just sounds like an ABBA song.
Apparently that panpipe, a lot of that bit is actually a cappella, and there's like one or two notes of the flute, and then it's been sampled and like gets repeated and looped.
It's a brilliant song.
Oh my god, it's honestly my favourite song ever.
Whoa, he goes away for a few months, comes back, and is just loving life, loving music.
There's that bit when it goes all panpipey and then like acoustic guitar-y, and there's a chanty bit. It goes a bit Avicii, I think.
Whoa, okay.
No?
I mean, you read into it what you want to read into it, Jordan, but you say the Avicii word and immediately I dislike the song.
Right, okay.
No,
I'm no longer welcome back at Albums Club.
Banished. So other amazing tracks on there, Signs of Life, also very good. Sounds like the Bee Gees. Also sounds a bit like the rap from Blondie's Rapture.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. Creature Comfort, I love Creature Comfort. It's quite sort of demonic sounding. It's like quite pulsating and evil sounding.
Evil's always a good sound, isn't it? The sound of evil is good. The practice of evil, not so good.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think we'd all agree
Within
with that.
boundaries.
Within boundaries, yeah.
Interestingly, for two people who work in online journalism, a song called Infinite Content is also very, very relevant to our interest. So it's like this weird, in the middle of the album, there's this weird two-part song called Infinite Content, and then the next bit's called Infinite / Content. The first one is this kind of punky thing, and the second one is a lounge music version of the same thing, and it's just kind of, I suppose, mocking content. I love content. Content's one of my favourite things.
Infinite content, we're infinitely content.
I think they're taking the piss, Jordan. Something about that strikes me as slightly piss-taking. Also, the album, though, plays in a loop.
Go on.
So it starts where it began. So it starts with Everything Now, finishes with this kind of Everything Now fade-out, but it loops around.
Right, yeah.
So the sound kind of is unbreaking. It is a chain of infinite content.
Where does this album sit, do you think, in terms of all of Arcade Fire's other albums? Is it up, down here?
I think it's. You know what? I think it's up there.
Do you? Okay.
I like it as a record, and I just like others. Like I said, they're constantly changing, they're constantly evolving. It's still very definitely an Arcade Fire album. You can hear that it's Arcade Fire, but they've just kind of shifted it a little bit. It's it's the longest gap in between records so far. All the other albums have come at 3-year intervals.
Yeah.
This is 4. They've had an extra 12 months to think on it, Jordan, and they've decided to go for modern popular culture with a pitchfork.
I can't think of a band that is, I mean, even if you don't like everything that they do, I can't think of a band that's kind of more interesting or exciting, like a big band, that is doing these kind of crazy, interesting things. I'm glad they're around.
Exactly. They're inventive, they're fun, they're doing something different. They're making indie rock music, which can be quite dry.
Yes.
They're making it exciting, which you can't hate on them for that. And, marketing campaign, schmarketing campaign. It's a good record.
In the end, all we've got is the record.
We have, and it's a nice record. So I'm just going to look at it.
Pop on.
Look at it, and look at how much fun they're having in the studio. Look at, I like them. Brilliant. So how many stars out of the 5?
Do you know what? I was going to say 3, but you've talked me into 4.
Yeah, great, because I am also saying 4 too. Jordan, what is the next album that we'll be discussing?
It is The Autobiography by Vic Mensa.
You were only 17, falling in love with everything except for me.
So yes, Vic Mensa, backed by Kanye West. He's been described as Kanye's protege.
Well, strange that. Well, not strange at all, because I thought this album sounded very much like early Kanye West. So actually kind of there's all these sort of soul samples earlier on in the music, which remind me of things like Through the Wire. There's a strong, that vibe, sonically at least. If it's not lyrically, I'm definitely getting a strong early Kanye vibe from Vic Mensa, the 24-year-old Chicago rapper.
Yes.
This is his debut album, isn't it? So there's been a mixtape and a couple of EPs, but this is his big push, kind of following. He's supported Justin Bieber on his European tour.
Oh, really?
So I think, is he going for that pop market, end of hip-hop?
No, I think it's too uncompromising for that.
It's quite intense, isn't it?
It's very
lyrically.
Heavy. Yeah,
he bears his soul a number of times.
Yeah, he's talking about like mental health issues and kind of like battling his personal demons.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm really into it. I found it really compelling and like very real and honest. And I think it's interesting that he's signed to Rock Nation, to Jay-Z's label, because Jay-Z is kind of leading this new wave of hip hop at the moment that is very kind of emotionally raw and confessional.
Oops, I had an affair. Hip hop.
Yeah. So Jay-Z spent the last 20 years telling anyone that would listen about his bank balance, but his new album 444 is about his personal life.
It's what's in here.
Yeah, it's about here. It's about
what's in NatWest. Other banks are available.
About his sort of inadequacies or his self-perceived inadequacies as a father, as a husband, and this is very much part and parcel of that whole thing, I think. It's very, very reflective.
There's that track Wings, which is really kind of deeply personal lyrics kind of about his self-destructive behaviour and his anxiety. It's really confessional. He's kind of bearing his soul. My favourite song is Coffee and Cigarettes.
Yes.
It's like a hip-hop power ballad, basically.
Yeah,
He's spoken before about his love of kind of 80s like hard rock as well. He likes Guns N' Roses. He also likes Jimi Hendrix. And there's a few guitar solos here and there, and that's all. And Coffee and Cigarettes, it does feel like a power ballad. And there's a line of, I wish you loved me half as much as weed.
I think we can all relate to that, can't we? So as you said, it's a little bit canny in places. I think in terms of his delivery, in terms of his flow, he sounds a bit like Drake a lot of the time, that kind of like laconic, matter-of-fact
sort of languid.
Very languid,
There's some really good guest stars on here as well. We've got Pharrell, we've got Saul Williams, Chief Keef, Pusha T. Weirdly, Weezer feature on a track. So it's a track called Homewrecker. And is it just Rivers, Cuomo?
Cuomo, yeah. In fact, I've got to say, that's the only bit I don't like. There's a bit on Homewrecker where Rivers Cuomo sings the hook, and it's like really whiny, and I can't deal with it.
Is this Cuomophobia?
I mean, it's not the first time I've been accused of being Cuomophobic, but...
he sings this kind of really plaintive hook at the end. It's quite whiny. It's different.
Yeah,
it's not for Jordan, we can tell.
It's the only bit I don't like on this album, which otherwise, I'm really into.
One of my favourite kind of modern artists is on here as well, Sid the Kid, formerly Sid the Kid. It's a shame though, so she's singing on a track called Gorgeous, but you can't quite make it. It's more just like she kind of loses herself in the mix. It's like very backing vocally, and I want more of her because I think she's brilliant.
Yeah.
But great kind of guests all round. What I also like, I like the cover art as well. Sort of reminds me of Panic Prevention by Jamie
Really?
T.
Okay, that's always
just
a good
like
thing.
a boy in a messy room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you feel like you're seeing a little bit into their world as well. You're being brought into their world that way, as well as, all the deep, heavy stuff he's saying.
I think my favourite song is Down for Some Ignorance, bracket, Ghetto Lullaby.
I love a bracket.
There should be more brackets in song titles, I think.
There's quite a lot of brackets in song titles.
But they've gone away. They've gone out of favour a bit.
Yeah,
let's bring them back. Let's bring them back. Well, Vic's bringing them back. Joey Pope and Chief Keef on that one. It's very like angry and seething. And that's where he says, "Listen to the voices in my head. This is my fucked up reality," which I think pretty much like that lyric pretty much sums up lyrically the whole album.
Because it's intense. So if you want an intense thrill ride there with some old school samples and Rivers Cuomo wailing, then the Autobiography is the one for you. How many stars, Jordan?
24.
Yeah, I think it's a 4 also. What a great week for albums.
Brilliant, mate.
That's 8 out of 10 so far if we added up all of the points.
Well, could we tip it over?
Who knows? So
double figures.
Classic album time now, a 25-yearer. So released in 1992. Jordan, tell them what it is.
It's Your Arsenal by your friend of mine, Morrissey.
We can hurt them well, we meant well. It's really laughable.
So Your Arsenal by Morrissey came out 25 years ago this week. It is Morrissey's 3rd solo album. Morrissey, if you don't know, he was that guy in the Smiths. Remember?
Yeah, with the guy with the hair.
Great band. So this, his 3rd solo record, it's sort of, at the time, was his hardest record to that date. It goes in, the first song is, which is You're Gonna Need Someone on Your Side, is this heavy kind of surf, crampsy style, proper heavy rockabilly
sort of psychobilly
song. It's, and he always had the quiff, but then this is like, he's got the full kind of like denim jacket on, with maybe some studs on it, and he brought in a band as well around this time, who were kind of guys who used to be in old rockabilly bands in the 80s and stuff like that. He just really, it's the real deal.
They kind of all have an identical look, don't they? It's like a very uniform look with like the quiff, the tats, the big sideburns.
And this is a kind of a band that he took with him for a while as well. It's a look that he was for good, like, kind of more than a decade after this, and still kind of doing that. He's that burly kind of sailor guy.
This was the era of like shiny, shimmery purple shirts, wasn't it?
Yeah, but also the cover, shirt off on the cover. Whew! A little bit. Stephen Patrick. Put your shirt on, young man.
Yeah, it's got so much swagger.
It is a swaggering album. It's produced by Mick Ronson, who was Bowie's guitarist in the 70s.
So that should give you an idea of the sort of, the kind of glam rock leanings.
That kind of jangly glam. Also, there's a track on here, Certain People I Know, Sounds Like Jeepster by T-Rex.
Yes.
As well, definitely. And it's, I think NME gave it 7 out of 10 at the time.
Okay.
Which is...
solid.
Not bad. One of my favourite songs on this album is We Hate It When Our Friends Become Successful, which is such a Morrissey sentiment.
It's fabulous.
Can't be happy for anyone, can he?
And then he says, and if they're northern, it's even worse.
How does that make you feel, Jordan?
Yeah, I know where it's coming from.
That song is notable for the fact that the chorus is just made up of him chuckling wryly to himself. It's like just the sound of him scoffing.
Yeah.
That's the chorus. Ha, 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 ha.
I've never seen those lyrics written down. I'd like to. I think I'd really enjoy. I'm going to look it up when I get back.
Yeah, be like, yeah. Oh, what if you thought you'd been getting it wrong all these years? It was like, oh, it was a scoff, not a chuckle.
I thought it was a guffaw.
There's a song we do have to mention on this album, though, a controversial track, National Front Disco, which at the time he was, it kind of got him into some hot water. So the song is him telling a story about a young man who is kind of moves to right-wing extremism, and it's about his family's concern for him. But obviously, to call a song National Front Disco is a little iffy. Yeah, I mean, isn't it?
I think he was deliberately kind of prodding the listener. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the song in itself, I think, just because you tell a story about a person who does a thing or believes a thing, it doesn't naturally follow that you do or believe that thing. That's what storytelling's about, right?
Do you mean Nick Cave and all those murder ballads?
Right, all those murder ballads.
He didn't do all those murders.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is dodgy territory. Because also he was kind of flirting with imagery at the time, which could lots of kind of Union Jack flag waving, which got people's backs up.
Yeah,
so, but this is what Morrissey does. He likes to get people's backs up. He likes to court that controversy. You know, when he wrote that song, he could have given it another title. Yeah, but he didn't. He gave it one that he knew would piss people off.
I'm amazed no one said to him, do you think maybe? Although, I mean, who's Morrissey going to listen to? No one.
Yeah, to the guys that label, hey, Morrissey, we've got some ideas. He'd probably just turn on his heel.
Yes.
And storm away. But this is also interesting that we're talking about this album this week, because next week, next Friday, August the 4th, a new film is coming out called England Is Mine, which I saw a few days ago.
I've not seen it. I'm very excited.
Yeah, so it is about Morrissey's early life in Stretford. The area that he grew up in Manchester. So it's all pre-fame Morrissey. It's about him as a teenager.
He's got long hair.
Yeah, it's pretty... Towards the end, that starts to...
as he morphs
creep up. Well, it's about so his early life, his relationship with an artist called Linda Sterling, and how she brings him out of his shell. And it's about his first meetings with Johnny Marr as well, and the band he was in before the Smiths called the Nosebleeds. And also about his relationship with the NME at the time. So he used to write NME lots of letters.
Yeah, I did know that.
And just kind of slagging off everyone in Manchester. Just going to see local bands and be like, they are dreadful. And he got quite a lot of his letters published in NME as well. And there's also stuff in the film about the first review in NME where they talk about the band, and they talk about the frontman's charisma, but they also... We get his name wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think they call him Stephen Morris.
So is it worth seeing the film? Is it good?
There's something. Whenever I go and see a rock biography, I'm always slightly wary, because they can fall into kind of parody or just people doing bad impressions. So you have to kind of approach these things with caution. But actually, I thought it was a really good film.
Really?
It's really enjoyable. If you liked Control, similar kind of vibe, or 24-Hour Party People, not just because they're all in Manchester, but there's kind of warm, kind of looking back on a certain period, and it's.
Is it directed by the same person that did Control?
It's directed by a guy called Mark Gill.
Okay.
Was he the Control guy? I don't know. We'll look it up when we leave the office. But I would recommend the film. It's great. There are also what is amusing, or might annoy you actually. There are many kind of in the script, lots of quotes from Morrissey lyrics.
No way. Oh no, I don't like it.
No, but
I don't like
some of them are sort of quite clever, and there's a lot of visual stuff in there as well, so you can notice things.
I think there was an episode of EastEnders once when Martin Kemp was the first episode he was in, and the writers had a competition to work in as many Spandau ballet titles as they could. Is it like that?
Is it like what Chris Packham does on Springwatch?
What does he do?
Chris Packham on Springwatch sometimes tries to get as many song titles in. The
really?
reference.
What a legend.
Yeah, there's one. I think there's a Smiths one. I think a Cure one as well. Let's leave and I'll show you on YouTube.
All right.
It's quite entertaining. Also, Chris Packham's a G. So.
Okay, so the film's good. The album's good.
The album is good. Yeah, it is a good, solid Morrissey album. His hard rocking, tough quiffing.
Well, you said it was his hardest rocking, his toughest quiffing album at that time. I don't think has he done a harder rocking or tougher quiffing?
Tougher quiffing. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, just the way it opens is so full throttle, isn't it?
Yeah.
That, yeah, maybe to this day he has never rocked harder.
Yeah.
So if you want to see edgy leather Morrissey, this is leather moss. What an image. I'm 4 out of 5 in it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 4 out of 5. Why not 5?
You can. We don't have to agree.
I'm doing it. 5. I'm not very good at maths, Leonie. Can you?
Well, add. So overall, that means we've agreed. It's like 4.5.
Yeah.
Because I've given it 4 and you've given it 5.
Yeah.
Or we can just be happy with giving it different marks and just all get along.
I think that's the way to go. That's what Morrissey would want.
Is it? Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in once again. Thanks to Jordan for just swanning in.
Yeah.
And just picking up where he left off.
We'll see you again. Maybe not. Who knows?
Bye.
Bye.